sometimes when we're working on finding summary statistics in our data, we'll use JUMP, but sometimes we want to do transformations. So sometimes we want to add a value to everything in a data set. Sometimes we want to subtract. Sometimes we want to multiply. So for example, if we were looking at maybe the average salary for a company. Well, if everybody was going to get a bonus, what would happen to the mean when we added that value? So I want to show you how in JUMP you can actually do this transformation as well as kind of the rule that applies to our summary statistics. I've opened the data file for the SpaceX payloads, the weights in kilograms for the different payloads in these rockets. So if I want to transform, say that I want to add 5 kilograms to each value. Well, what I would do, first add a column. So here, if I right-click up in the top, or I could also click on columns, that would be fine too. So either the menu, COLS for columns, or right-click, and we just want to add a new column. And so I find it easier to go to the menu and do columns. And here we can do weight and then maybe describe what we're going to do. We're going to add 5 to it. So right now we have this empty column, but if I click on that column up at the header and right click, I can create a formula. So we have this menu show up just by right clicking and click on formula. And we want to take the weight column, the original column. And so I just click on it. You'll see that it shows up over here in my formula. And I just want to add 5. And then if I hit enter, I get this new equation. And I can add or subtract anything that I want. Click OK. And now you see this column where you have 5 added to each of the values. And so now when we analyze our distribution, then we can get data both on the original and this new weight. So I just drug both of those columns over into the Y columns. And we get our distribution. And notice that for the original weight, we have our mean, our standard deviation, and our medians. And I want to show you the median. If you'll look here, the median of the original is 3,153. The median when we added 5 was 3,158. Well, we added 5 to each value, so it makes sense that our median would also add 5. The same thing happened for the mean. We went from 3,256.225 to 3,261. So we added 5 to the mean. But you will notice that the standard deviation did not change. And that's important. Whenever you add or subtract a value to all of your values in the distribution, the standard deviation will not change. Standard deviation is measuring the spread from the mean. And even though the mean was larger, all of the values were larger by that same amount. And so they're still going to be spread the same amount around that mean. So for the standard deviation, when you add or subtract, nothing will change with the standard deviation. However, what if we wanted to double all of the payloads? So I'm going to create a new column. So I'm going to go to columns, new columns, and create, this column. I'll call it double weight. And we want to do the same thing with creating a formula. So if I right click and do formula, I can take the original weight and we can multiply by 2 in order to double the formula or double all of the weights. We click OK and we see where we have a double for all of the weights. Now when we analyze the distribution this time, and we'll take the original weight and maybe the double weight, since that's really all that we want to compare. Click OK, and notice here that the median doubled, which we should expect that. The mean doubled, but the standard deviation also doubled. When you multiply or divide, that will affect the spread. And so here, everything will increase by whatever it is that you multiply. So adding and subtracting only affect mean and medians, but multiplication and division would affect the standard deviation.